Hello everyone, you're welcome to another wonderful edition of Agro-Input, the program that has been specifically designed to bring Ghana's ports and maritime industry closer to you. At Agro-Input, we also discuss trading issues that have some direct or indirect effect on the ports and maritime business. It is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Gov't PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link, the Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. Agro-Input is powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. Viewers, if you can recall, a few months ago we had an interaction with CropLife Ghana. CropLife Ghana, within its membership, has suppliers of agro-inputs like fertilizers and pesticides. Within our interaction, we were told that they are crying out for government support with respect to some tax exemptions that they are asking. Tax exemptions that usually they would enjoy, but this time around they are not enjoying them anymore. They are asking government to be able to grant these tax exemptions so they can be able to get their goods out of the port onto the market. They're saying that now, without these tax exemptions, getting their goods from the ports to the market has become expensive, and those that have been able to do that are charging higher rates for their products. And they are saying that not only are their businesses going to suffer, but ordinary consumers like you and I would have to pay more for the things that we buy from farmers on the market. So they are requesting for government to grant these tax exemptions. Let us hear more on what they had to say.
The last time you were here, Rashad, we took a look at some of the challenges you had, and you gave us a scenario where you had written to the Ministry of Finance and there was this back and forth and things.
Sure.
Can you bring us up to speed with what has come out of it?
Somewhere September 12, Government of Ghana passed the Tax Exemptions Act 2022, Act 1083. And this act did not, it excluded agri-inputs. What it meant was that if you were bringing in any agri-inputs into the country, that the Tax Exemptions Act didn't take care of it. So you would have to apply to the Ministry of Finance to grant you the tax exemptions. That was a challenge then. And our companies since then applied through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to the Ministry of Finance to grant these tax exemptions for them to be able to clear off these goods from the ports. And I can tell you that from January till now, none of our member companies have been able to get any of these tax exemptions. And it has ballooned the cost of the inputs that they have brought in, because Mr. David was saying he has some figures that he would have to share with you. We engaged the Ministry of Agriculture in that respect, because that same tax exemption gives the Ministry of Agric the chance to grant industry-specific taxes exemptions. For instance, the Ministry of Agric can grant tax exemptions to the Ministry of Finance can grant tax exemptions to the Ministry of Agric if they put into writing. So we pushed through the Ministry of Agric to write to the Ministry of Finance to grant those tax exemptions, and till date, none of our companies have been able. Since the beginning of January, because the letter was written to the Ministry of Agric around 10th January, if I recall. Ministry of Finance, yes, around 10th January 2023. And as it stands now, the tax exemptions haven't been granted.
Have you made some follow-ups?
Yes, we've made follow-ups with the Ministry of Agric, and then we've written petitions to the Ministry of Finance as well. But then the major challenge too was that whilst we were waiting for these tax exemptions to be granted, the goods were locked up at the ports, and they were attracting extra cost in the form of demurrages.
Right.
Yes. So at the point where we realized that we were not getting the tax exemptions anytime soon, most of our member companies went ahead to clear their goods, and it has ballooned the prices of these inputs. And it's going to have a dire impact on our food security as we speak right now.
All right, so what's the current state, and where have you reached in terms of your quest to get the Ministries of Finance and Agric to yield to this particular? Because if from January through to date, you haven't been able to secure even one tax exemption for one company under your belt, then it gives cause for worry.
Definitely. And when we started engaging the Ministry of Agric, that was the time there was a gap between Dr. Akoto's resignation and then Dr. Brian Champon's coming into. So there was a gap. And then we had to wait for a substantive minister to be nominated and approved,
Right.
then we can see through the tax exemptions together with that Dr. Achampong. So we met with the Minister of Agric, with his deputies, and then even with the chairman for the Parliamentary Select Committee on Food and Agriculture in Parliament. And then we were given assurance during our meetings that these tax exemptions will be granted, and that when the Exemptions Act was passed, it was purely an oversight,
Right.
which
So your prayer was that it will be captured,
yes,
so that it will be passed as well.
yes.
But
So it
didn't
wasn't
happen.
captured.
Yes.
But the same act gives the prerogative to the Ministry of Finance to grant industry-specific exemptions to certain ministries, sector ministries, like the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
Right.
So if the Ministry of Agriculture puts into writing demanding or requesting for tax exemptions for some category of agri-inputs, the Ministry of Finance would go ahead to grant those exemptions. So this letter was written by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to the Ministry of Finance, requesting for these tax exemptions to be granted for agri-inputs. And that is what we are still chasing till date.
All right. So Mr. Anson gave me some documents here. These are bill of entries.
Yes.
Two of them, and they were for the same consignments last year and this year. And if you take a look at the total amount paid for last year, it sums up to 35,508.36 Ghana cedis.
Yes.
And that for 2023. Okay, this year, this one was 27th June 2022.
Yes.
And then this one, the date is 17th May 2023. And the amount is 104,108.56 cedis.
Yes.
So it shot up from 35,000 in 2022 to 104,000
For the same
in 2023.
consignment.
Yeah.
Tell us what do you think the issue is?
So, what I gave you,
Yes.
the 2022 one is just for 1,700 cartons, and we're paying the 35. And the 20
Cartons of what?
of product we call glyphosate.
Yes.
And 2023, you know, you can check the quantity there.
Yes.
The quantity in 2023 is even lesser than the 2022. But we are paying ×3, duty.
Yes.
And it's because, and if you check, I have underlined certain things.
Yes.
Because of the removal of the exemption for import duty.
Yes.
That one we are paying. And then special import levy was also an exempted item last year. We are also paying. Processing fee.
It means you are paying it now?
Yeah.
We are paying it now. And then IRS deposit. So in total, this sums up to about 10% of
So you have the
CIF.
special import levy, which you were not paying,
not paying.
but because they've scrapped the exemptions,
exemptions.
you now pay
We are
that.
now paying that.
And you also have the IRS deposit. What is
Yeah.
that?
That's GRA. When you are clearing from the port,
Yes.
you would pay a 1% on the CIF.
Yes, cost,
as-
insurance, and freight value.
Yes, as deposit for your income tax.
Yes.
Yes. But last year, because of the exemption regime, we were not paying that amount.
Right.
But after the removal, all the 4 items that I've just listed, we are paying now. And then one other issue which is significant, I mentioned the exchange rate. You
Yes.
see that llast year the exchange rate was around 7.
Yeah.
And if you check on the declaration
Yes.
there, it's now about almost 11, 10
yeah.
point something.
Yes.
So all these things coming together, it's now making
10.9, yeah.
Cost
yes,
of input.
us pay ×3 of what we were paying last year. So it means that if
Last year was 7.2.
yes,
Yes.
assuming for the purpose of this discussion, if your budget for clearing last year was like 1 million cedis,
Yes.
then it means that you have to have 3 million
Yeah.
to be able to do the same volume of business in 2023. And this is extremely high. If you don't have that kind of money, then it means that you have to go to the bank to borrow.
Yes.
And we've already discussed issues about the interest
Exchange
rates
rate,
at the
yeah.
bank. There's no way you'll be able to make any profit in this kind of condition. And it's also important because it's affecting the cost of inputs. So farmers are now buying their inputs at a very high price.
Yes.
And then cost of production for the farmers have also gone up. And because of that, some of them will cut down on the size
Yes.
of their land, because if they don't have the money to do, say, a 10-acre, they would have to reduce it to 5 acres, right? And apart from that, they are also business people.
Yes.
Once cost of production for them has gone up, they would have to transfer it to the consumer.
Yes.
And recently, Statistical Service brought out the inflation for July. Yeah. And we saw where food inflation is, over 50%. So these things, government should be minded that it is causing food prices to go up. We are business people. Once our costs have gone up so much, we will transfer it to the farmer. And then the farmer will now transfer it to the consumer. And, with the economic situation we are facing, if food prices are also extremely high, it brings too much hardship to the people.
Right. To restructure the tax, Ghana's tax exemption regime is absolutely a good idea. Because there are a lot of loopholes.
I thought you were going to say it's non-negotiable.
It's a good idea to, restructure our exemptions regime, and we allowed government for that. Because if you look at the whole exemptions regime, the loopholes were too many. Yeah. And government needed to also rake in some revenue by blocking and some loopholes to straighten up the regime. Right. But we know the role agriculture plays in our economy. Agriculture is so sensitive, just like health, education. These sectors shouldn't be compromised when it comes to taxes. Yeah. And so we continue to plead to government to take a second look at the Tax Exemptions Act, and include agriculture inputs specifically and categorically as part of the exemptions, so that we don't have to come back here the next year and the years
discussing the same issues,
to discuss the same old issues, knowing what the contribution agriculture has played in the economy of Ghana.
So viewers, you just heard from suppliers of agro-inputs like fertilizers and pesticides on why it is absolutely necessary to include them in the Tax Exemptions Act. Now let us hear a few comments on the subject we have just discussed after we go on break, and then we'll be back with more news. Stay tuned. This one comes from Eric. He says, government's policy of removal of exemptions not well targeted. How do you remove exemptions on agricultural inputs under the guise of revenue maximization? Some individuals and institutions who do not deserve the exemptions are rather considered, for instance, under the government's flagship programs. I think Ghana has challenges when it comes to policy implementations, which in the long run affects the poor. This one says, can the agro-input suppliers team up with Apostle Kwadwo Safo for him to produce more of his chemicals for Ghanaians?
So yes, we can do a bit of what he does, the inorganic, organic stuff. Yes. But if you want to feed millions of people, sometimes the organic pesticides,
wouldn't work.
Will not,
This one comes from Nana Pil Benson on Facebook. He says, I would like to know how agro-input dealers who operate in other countries apart from Ghana are faring.
For them, they really don't have this problem that we are facing right now, especially with the prices issues. And this is also going to, like I mentioned, the issue of counterfeiting. Yes. If this is not addressed, we are going to, a lot of farmers will go out there to the neighboring countries, Togo, Burkina, Cote d'Ivoire, and bring in products that are counterfeit and unsuspecting to a lot of farmers. Yes. So we're trying to curb these issues.
Guys, now I'm tired. I'll go on a date with whoever gets here first.
Princess, really?
Okay, I dey come.
Shut up!
Mame, feel me tank na mo ati.
Boss, fill my tank with Super XP Raw 95.
Fill up with Super XP Raw 95 and Diesel XP high performance products from Gov't.
Hey man,
Sorry, Tony got here first, so I'm stepping with him.
Cut him.
Choose Super XP Ron 95 and Diesel XP for an energizing driving experience. Always go for Gov't Super XP Ron 95. Gov't, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Impressive factory. If only I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in this mess. That devastating fire virtually wiped out the whole factory and my warehouse.
Remember my misfortunes last year? Serene Insurance Asset All Risk Fire policy that I took were there to pay for my damaged stocks in the warehouse, and my machines that were affected by the floods have been replaced. My accident vehicle is back on the road thanks to Serene Insurance motor policy. Currently, my goods are on the high seas, covered with their marine cargo insurance policy. I was just telling Ajima about Serene Insurance. Oh, Ajima, tell him more.
As a road contractor, I make sure I do my contractors all risk insurance for the projects and then workers' compensation for all the workers on site. With Serene Insurance, they will make sure they will cover your unknown tomorrow today.
Serene Insurance, a new face of insurance. Call us now.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Business and life can be like the sea sometimes. Sometimes serene, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, and at times it brings the unexpected. However it is like, trust Phoenix Insurance for your home, car, business, and marine insurance needs. Call 0302 246 319 or 0243 690 492.
At Phoenix, you experience a delightful service delivered with wisdom.
Welcome back from the break, viewers. Now let us move on to our local news segment, and this includes certain tax introductions by the Ghana Revenue Authority. Take a listen. To widen the domestic tax net, some amendments have been made to the Income Tax Act 2023, Act 1094, with implications for the gaming industry. From the 15th of August, a 10% withholding tax will be exacted from gross winnings from all betting, gaming, lotto, and other games of chance. This means bettors will now pay a withholding tax of 10% of the profits accrued on wins, and this replaces the existing 15% VAT that is charged.
So if you played with 100 Ghana and you won, then you are giving 200 as your win. The tax will not be on 200, it will only be on the profit. So because the tax is on the return on the...
In addition to this, operators of gaming enterprises will pay a 20% tax on gross gaming revenue to replace corporate income tax. Ahead of implementation, the Ghana Revenue Authority has engaged news editors to help them understand the rationale behind the policy. According to the Commissioner for the Domestic Tax Revenue Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Edward Jambra, a sum of 1.2 billion Ghana cedis is expected to be collected during the initial stages of implementation. He warned that gaming enterprises that do not comply with the new rules will be subject to penalties, including having their licenses revoked.
And let me say that as you have been appointed as a withholding agent, the obligation is on you to withhold. And if you fail to do that, with the interaction that we've had with you and the support of the Gaming Commission, you can be assured that your license will be withdrawn.
An additional revenue of 455 million Ghana cedis is expected to be made from excise duties following an amendment to the first schedule of the Excise Duty Act 2014, Act 878. This is because there has been an introduction of the hybrid method of duty calculation on tobacco and other related products viewed as generally unhealthy.
If you talk to the health authorities, they will tell you they are paying. If you talk to other researchers, they are also complaining that something must be done. Something must be done. And this area has been left out for long, and the time is appropriate, even at the ECOWAS level. The health taxes must be given immediate attention.
Basically, what this means is that e-cigarettes, sugar-sweetened beverages, carbonated soft drinks, spirits, and wines will cost more when imported. This revelation was made during the same engagement with the news editors. Nelson Brighter-Chu is the head of compliance at the Excise unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority. He said the development is in line with ECOWAS recommendations for the treatment of such products.
The ECOWAS directive on the harmonization of excise duty on tobacco products directs that excise duty on tobacco products must include ad valorem and specific duty rates. The ad valorem rate is required to be 50% or more on the value, while the specific tax rate is required to be a minimum equivalent of 2 cents per stick in the case of cigarette, cigarello, and the CD equivalent of $20 per net kilo for all other tobacco products.
In a related development, to bring about sanity and fairness in the local textile industry, an excise tax stamp on textiles has been introduced by the Ghana Revenue Authority. The excise tax stamp, specially designed with digital and other security features, will be affixed on textile products to indicate taxes and duties have been paid or will be paid. The textile tax stamp will control the importation and local manufacture of textile for revenue purposes, check tax evasion through smuggling, as well as illicit trading and counterfeit.
You know, imported products also pay, they are supposed to pay import duty, import VAT, import national health insurance levy, and those kind of things. Currently, those that are smuggled, they don't pay, while the local industries are paying what they are expected to pay. That's making their products more expensive. So by introducing this policy, as Nelson explained, to make sure that everybody is paying what they are, everyone is paying what is he or she is expected to pay, it will level the playing field for everybody.
According to the GRA, sanctions will be imposed on non-compliant traders. Now, viewers, let us turn our attention to the global stage and pick a few international shipping and maritime related news. The world's largest LNG bunkering ship, Haiyang Shiyu 301, also known as Offshore Oil 301, has completed its first ship-to-ship bunkering operation involving a very large crude carrier at the anchorage of Guangzhou Port. The 8.5 operation saw Offshore Oil 301 provide the 320,000-ton dual-fuel tanker Maran Dion with approximately 6,500 cubic meters of liquefied natural gas. The operation was the inaugural ship-to-ship LNG bunkering carried out by Pavilion Energy and CNOOC Gas and Power Group. With efforts continuing to build out the infrastructure for different forms of LNG bunkering, renewable energy company Expo announced plans to launch a first-of-its-kind ship-to-truck bunkering capability based in Italy, as well as ship-to-ship LNG bunkering. The company will build a new bunker vessel due to enter service in 2025 based in the Gulf of Naples and the adjoining Tyrrhenian Sea region. Expo, based in Switzerland, has entered into a long-term agreement with Italy's Gas and Heat and the San Giorgio del Porto shipyard for the new small-scale LNG vessel and bunkering capability. The flagship project was set up in collaboration with the Italian government's Infrastructure and Transport Ministry, MIT, and the Central Tyrrhenian Sea and Naples Port Authorities. It's now time for our Word of the Day segment, where we introduce words, phrases, jargons, and terminologies that we often use in this industry so you can get familiar with them. Today, we'll tell you what a port of registry is.
Port of registry refers to a place where a ship is registered with the authorities, thereby establishing its nationality.
It's now time to take a look at the schedule of vessels that have berth in the ports of Tema and Takoradi and at the anchorages of both ports, as well as those expected in the coming weeks, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rate, which you may need to know to clear your cargo with. This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Iron Port. We hope you've been informed and educated. Remember, all Iron Port content can be found on our YouTube channel, Iron Port. Please subscribe, like, and give us feedback. Thank you for watching.